Tell us who you are and what we're doing today.
Yeah, man. So my name is not important right now, though. But what's really important is the matter at hand. See, I'm here to really be transparent about my journey, this mission of mine. It's have taken me a long time. Time without number, the past and the future cease to exist. So we cherish the present, and this is what the present is. The present is about who we are. You know, I represent a culture that deals with a lot about self-expression. You know, true artistry is expressing oneself honestly. You know, we lay our true self on the canvas. You know, right now we're putting words in this video, this visual. So who I am is basically a long story. You know, we're not in the beginning, but we're at the beginning. So what that means is that, you know, this journey is gonna be more of a process. Who I am will be introduced in these small little project that I'm unrolling. So, you know, in the meantime, this is just a very brief introduction of what I'm doing. I think that's what's more important than my name or who I am right now, is what's at this moment.
And what is at this moment right now? What is something you want to share? If you have a message for the world, what would it be?
Yeah, so I think that my message is basically you have to tell your story. A story not told is a lesson not learned. You know, we all have a journey, you know, especially being in a generation where I wasn't born here. Most of us at my age, we're a family that comes from different country. You know, it's just a little bit about who I am. My family came into the United States during a lot of the war-torn country that was, you know, happening in Cambodia. So basically, giving me this opportunity to tell you about my story is something that I really think that is a message to everybody in America. You know, we all have a journey. We all, you know, represent something higher than ourselves, and we all have this obligation of telling the story, so that way those who listen, those who's watching, will learn.
What part of your whole life story do you want to share with the world?
Oh yes, man. I think most of my life story has a very up and down roller coaster. So the most important part, I think, is now. I think being where I'm at now is the most important because I have gained a lot of knowledge through looking, listening, and learning, and that's the lesson. Where I'm at now is what really dictates my future. What I've gained, the people I met, the experiences I've experienced, I think that's where it needs to be talked about. I think that's the moment of now is where the most important part of my life, because this is where I'm not insecure anymore. I'm not afraid. I know that a lot of time we, you know, go through this motion of, you know, self-reflection. So going through all that, I think I'm still on a journey, but yet I'm still here to kind of say, you know, don't be afraid. You know what I mean? Don't be scared. You know, don't hide yourself. You know, just express yourself honestly. And this present time is me showing you that, you know, expressing myself to everybody that's looking and listening.
If you could tell a younger self, if you could tell something to yourself 5-10 years ago, to something that you know now, what would it be in regards to like being present or anything that you mentioned? What was one thing that you would like to tell yourself, a younger self of you, or somebody struggling to find themselves? What would you like to share to help inspire them to be themselves? What would be a piece of advice you would like to share?
Yeah, man, peace and blessing on that, man. It's a good question. I've thought about that a lot. Just because I've always felt regretful. I always felt like I'm always, not being honest with myself. So one thing that I really want to tell my old self is to not be afraid. I think fear has a very heavy emotion that sits on you. I think that's where a lot of our insecurity comes from, is fearing, what people might say. I feel like fear is something that we hinder ourselves to move forward. Being in the dark has taught me a lot about fear. So when I was younger, I would always be challenging myself, to be in that dark area. So I think telling myself to not have fear is something that I would recommend a lot of people to kind of listen to themselves, to say, will I take that route, even though it's a dark route? Something that's dark doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means that it's unknown. We all embedded with this fear of the unknown, but when we, discover the unknown, we learn to love its beauty. So being in the dark, you shine brighter.
And if you can give a list out, or it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 principles. What are some principles you think are important to oneself and to other people? Or 2 or 3, however many.
I think, principle would be I have a cultural ethic, and these are something that I've been aware of. And one of the principles that I have is, don't worry about being recognized, but seek to be worthy of recognition. And what that means is that, trying to be recognized is trying to do something out of yourself, your true self. Seeking to be worthy of recognition really defined as something that you do internally. And that is the principle that I have for myself. And it's to say to yourself that, what you're doing this for is for who you are. It's for the process of growth. Forget not a root that rot bears no fruit. Being rooted down to the ground is something that's another principle, is that growth is constant. So another principle of growth is to be consistent, to be persistent, to persevere. In Khmer we call it Thor Su. Thor Su is perseverance. But yet you see Thor is something to connect, right? And then Su is something that you have to endure. So when you have the word Thor Su, you understand that that's a principle of you need to connect the fact that you need to endure. You need to keep on going, to persevere. And those are the principles. The principle of life is true constant, it's natural. And the natural thing that we do is to always grow. We gotta move like water. We gotta be constant. We gotta flow like it. Sometimes we crash and sometimes we're still. So the principle is basically, don't worry about being recognized, but seek to be worthy of recognition. Forget not, a root that rots bears no fruit.
That was tough. I like that. That was deep.
Peace and blessing, man. Peace and blessing. Definitely. I think that more of, when we dive into speaking about this journey, I had this look, listen, and learn lesson, and that is where that it's the remedy for the dumb, deaf, and blind. And for the dumb, deaf, and blind is basically for those that can't see, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're blinded, right? It's something more like, do you see the deeper part of who you are? And that's what comes with your values and your variables. What comes with your values and your variables is that it's a term where you put something in life that we see, that right now, we live in a life that there's a lot of values that people have put in their variable that doesn't necessarily is valuable. We value different things. Certain part of my fashion. You know, we speak about these values that we cherish, the treasure. You know, we box them in. You know, and we have a lot of the value that's being misplaced. You know, that we don't really know what we're putting on ourselves. You know, something that we consume. So if you kind of tap in to what people's, you know, self-expression is about, you can see within their fashion, within their speech, within their visual. So when we talk about values and variable, we're talking about, you know, what really defines you. You know, certain things, jewelry, for example, we take jewelry for example that are hidden gems. We're talking about diamond, gold. You know, those are a material that's worth a lot of money. But some people like myself who have just a bracelet of my name, you know, this value more than diamond or gold because this has a value of history. My mom made this bracelet before she passed away. So this is forever my value in variables. You know what I mean? All these are gifts. You know what I mean? Because time without number, the past and the future cease to exist. So that's why we call it the present. It's a gift. So that's what it is, you know what I mean? Values and variables is what you really put in your values, in your variables. The variable is basically your box, you know, in terms of, you know, when you treasure something, you know, you have something in there, you lock it, your safe lock. You know, you lock a treasure and you put it into the depth of the ocean, and people will go to the depth of the earth just to find that box, you know what I mean? So these values right here is something that I really cherish, and you know, times like this, you know, being, you know, around good energy, being around good people, that's what I value, you know, and that's what the whole first principle was about. Don't worry about being recognized, but seek to be worthy of recognition. And that is what I value, is to keep myself valuable in the eyes of a lot of the people that, you know, cherish my present, you know, because I cherish theirs. You know, it's a gift.